Bottom of 215. And that boy, Pierce pointed at Ash, is more valuable than any virus. I thought it didn't work. I thought it was all wasted. But there he is. Can't you tell he's different? Different. The word stood out to Ash. It repeated over and over in his head. He really was different. What are you talking about? Cain said. Back there. Pierce moved his hand and waved it behind him. When he came out of the forest, he was so quick. I didn't think anything of it, but he just lifted me off the ground like I was no heavier than an overnight bag. Look at him, for God's sakes. He's just a scrawny little kid. I'm 187 pounds, and he can't be much more than 12 years old. How many other children do you think could do that? Cain glanced down at the boy she had captured, reappraising him as if she was seeing him for the first time. Ash stared back at her, feeling the strength in his muscles, preparing to accept and understand what he was. And you see how the monkeys watch him and Kronos? Pierce squinted at Ash, now unable to hide his excitement. Kronos doesn't affect him because it's part of him. He waggled his fingers, searching for the right word. It was type 24. I knew that was the one. That's why I tried it on myself. But I was so stupid. It had to be someone who was still developing. A child. It had to be a child. His eyes alive with pride and self-importance. He was like an excitable boy who had been keeping a marvelous secret and was finally allowed to reveal. I was so angry when it didn't work. Angry with you. He pointed right in Ash's face. Pierce, if you don't start making sense in the next 10 seconds, I'm going to let Winter cut your throat just for the heck of it. Yes, of course. Pierce came close to Ash, but it's complicated. Uncomplicated. Type 24 is a performance enhancer. From them. Pierce gestured toward the night, not noticing the way the shape shifted and the branches swayed. Adaptable, strong, intelligent. They have genetic markers that shouldn't be there. Markers I would expect to find in other animals. Feline, serpentine, even tardigrade? I don't know what that is. A virtual indestructible micro-animal. Pierce took off his glasses and wiped them on the front of his shirt. Someone did something on this island during the war. Something way ahead of their times. The animals were genetically altered. A new kind of evolution began before biomassa even arrived, and it continued unchecked. Everything here became something more, especially them. He waved his hand at the treetops again. They are strong, intelligent, hyper-aware, with senses more usually seen in other species. Can you imagine a human being with those abilities? An evolved human? Can you even begin to imagine how this kind of science can be developed? Imagine, he waggled his fingers again, having bones that could heal in days, an athlete with enhanced strength, a soldier who is unaffected by extreme temperatures, who can run for miles without even tiring, whose eyes will never fail. I thought I had harnessed the essence of what makes them different, and I gave it to this boy many years ago, but it didn't work. He was such a disappointment. But now he's back here, and he shook his head, something must have triggered it. Microbes, something in the air, the water. I need to investigate it further, but it explains why he slept for so long. He was changing, becoming. You're telling me you know this boy? You experimented on him? Cain was trying to make sense of what Pierce was trying to tell him. Did his mother know? Of course not. She's too narrow-minded. She would never have agreed. But she found out. Ash allowed his hatred to rise to the surface and burn stronger. All his life he had been afraid of this man without even knowing it. His was the voice in the darkness. But Ash wasn't afraid now. Pierce was just a pot-bellied scientist in a scruffy suit, while Ash was something else, something enhanced. She found out and she stopped you. Stopped me? She ruined me and took you away. But look at you now, stronger and faster. He turned to Cain. Don't you see how valuable this is? Kronos doesn't matter anymore. We don't need this primitive beast. He kicked the side of the crate, making the monkey inside grunt. Not when we have this boy. Kronos is child's play in comparison. This boy is priceless. The most significant scientific breakthrough since ever. I have to know how much stronger and faster he will become. I have to reproduce type 24 and... Heads up! The words came from somewhere behind him. It's me, Peterson. Look what I found. Kane whipped around. Where's Young? Checking for others. Ash risked a look and saw the orange-hand soldier called Peterson emerge from the jungle, but he was not alone. Walking in front of him with her fingers laced together over her head was Isabel. Another one? This some kind of school trip? How many more kids out there? None, Peterson replied. It's cleared. In his left hand, he was carrying Thorne's survival pack. She had this. He hefted it to Kane, who caught it one-handed and held it up for inspection. When she had looked it over, she came so close to Pierce that their noses were almost touching. She fixed him with her icy blue eyes. We haven't finished. I'm coming back to you. Then she turned to Ash and showed him the pack. This belongs to Thorne. Why is he helping you? But his mouth was dry and he couldn't speak. Isabel had been their best chance of disabling the boat and calling for help. But now, that chance was gone. Thorne isn't helping us, Isabel answered for him. We took it from him. Is that so? Kane put the pack over her shoulder. And what else did you take from him? Peterson dug Isabel's handset from his pocket. She had this, but it looks dead. I can't figure out how to turn it on. Kane took it from him. Some kind of smartphone. She studied it for a moment and then looked at Isabel. What is this? My phone. Ash focused his thoughts, trying to think of a way to overcome Kane and the others. If only he could get the monkeys to... Isabel glanced sideways at him and looked up twice in succession as if she wanted him to see something. When Ash followed her line of sight, he saw that her fingers were no longer tightly laced together behind her back. She had separated her hands and was holding 3 fingers out straight. What is that? 3 what? 3 people? I've never seen a phone like this, Kane said. Is this some kind of messaging device? Have you been messaging someone? Isabel didn't show any fear. No, there's no signal. Are you in contact with Thorne? Kane demanded. No. Isabel lowered her head as if looking at the ground, but she cast a glance sideways at Ash once more and widened her eyes in warning. She drew one of the fingers back into her fist, so now there were only 2. What did it mean? 2 what? If I find out you're lying to me, Kane warned. I'm not. Kane looked at the handset again, searching for a way to switch it on. She pressed the button on the top, but the screen remained blank. It's dead, Isabel said. Her expression gave nothing away. I've had enough of this, Kane said, losing her icy calm. Switch the darn thing on, right now. It's dead, I told you. Isabel drew another finger back into her fist. 1 left. It's a countdown. 1 until what? Kane snatched one of Isabel's arms, and for a moment, Ash thought she might have seen the signal. But then she turned Isabel's hand over and slapped the handset into it before drawing a knife from the sheath across her chest. Switch it on! Isabel stared Kane right in the eye as if she wasn't afraid of her at all. She looked at her for a few long seconds, then the handset beeped twice. That wasn't just monkeys throwing fruit, Ash thought. Isabel was throwing Hex 13. She's rigged the camp. In that instant, a loud kaboom echoed in the jungle, accompanied by a blinding white flash.